It's interesting you mentioned creators too, because I think that's another factor here is that we're heading into a climate where there's a breakdown in trust in institutions, and that
What?
includes.
I hadn't heard of this.
No, hadn't heard of that. So I
This
mean,
is where the
this
news flash comes across the bottom of the screen.
there you go. But the key here is that this certainly impacts nonprofits as well. This general broad distrust includes nonprofits who are seeing less and less traffic to their own surfaces, like their website. More individuals who want to give, because they certainly still want to give, especially younger generations, but they want to give increasingly through people they follow and trust in
Right.
creators and platforms that they might already be on. And they're just used to things like a recommendations algorithm and somebody who is influential helping them decide how to give. So that's key here is that, you may feel like you're running up against a wall if you're constantly trying to drive people back to your own website instead of kind of meeting them where they are or meeting them through intermediaries that increasingly matter to them.
Right. Yeah, it's I'm thinking back to a lot of the stuff that was beaten into our heads years ago as marketers is that, people trust recommendations from obviously friends and family carry the most weight, but then recommendations from complete strangers will often carry more weight than official word from a brand's official voice, right? And stuff they're saying. So it's a little crazy to think that that people put more trust in what they hear from complete strangers online, but if it's presented as a recommendation, that can often carry a lot more weight.
I mean, I came from working at a news network, News Nation, and certainly bombarded with facts about how low the trust factor is with the public and the news. And when you think of what's happening in the news environment, but also the news enthusiasts who create newsy stories that are not really fact checked, like we are in a complete area of chaos when it comes to trust.
A younger demographic has no problems making donations through social media or getting motivated to give through social media. But when you're talking to an older audience, obviously they often, are a little suspicious of getting scammed or things like that. And so they prefer giving through a website for an organization to know, or picking up the phone and calling them or making sure that their money is going to the right person. But as you say, like audiences by and large aren't going to the official sites of different groups. Are you seeing any trends in how people are bridging that gap between their trusted property on the one hand and the places where their audiences actually are to receive the messaging, and how they connect those dots?
Yeah, a great question. Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it's not an either or, it's a both, right? And that's really our value proposition with GoFundMe Pro is that you need both best-in-class online fundraising tools and you need access to more acquisition channels. So for us, it's about having everything in one place. I think what's most important, especially when it comes to storytelling, is on some level, your organization is willing to give up a little bit of control and put the power in the hands of influencers who care deeply about your organization, have a legitimate connection and want to help. And in that way, just give them the tools so that they can sort of figure out the right format for their audiences, which at the end of the day is about acquisition, right? Is appealing to new potential pools of donors through trusted intermediaries. And one thing I'll share there that we've built to hopefully help in this sense is a tool called Live Fundraising Tools, which is the ability on GoFundMe, say if you are a creator, to use one of our sharing options to share widgets live in a stream. Like if you are a creator who goes live on YouTube, TikTok, Discord, Twitch, any sort of platform like that, we built a tool that works with really the most popular streaming software that influencers use. It's called OBS. And it's a simple set of browser overlays that they can just quickly embed as they're going live on a charity fundraising stream. And that has a huge impact, right? Because these are dynamic elements where you can have a goal meter, you can have a QR code that is linked to that influencer, and you can have little donation alerts that pop up that sort of, for anybody viewing who hasn't given yet, serve as social proof. So you can see if somebody has elected to make their donation publicly, the amount and that person's name sort of pop up in the stream. And we found that that's really effective, right? Not only for an organization, but in how they work with an influencer to make them feel valued, right? Like the QR code element, we also have a link element, which you all will appreciate as marketers, really serve as a form of attribution for the fundraiser on our platform. So that at the end of the day, after they finish their stream and they look at how much they've raised, they can proudly share that. And even if they want, create a profile on our platform that shows how much help they've inspired through their audience and their efforts. I think that's really important. And that doesn't happen if you aren't comfortable giving up a little bit of control, giving that influencer the key message, giving them some building blocks, but see what they can do with it and see what makes sense with their audience, which they are going to know best.